Welcome to my channel, The Broke Sim Racer, and welcome to a look back at NASCAR Racing 2003 season. It's a true classic in sim racing history. It was released by Papyrus in 2003. This game set a new standard in realism, car handling, and track accuracy. Built for serious racers, it captured the true feel of driving a stock car at high speeds. Even today, many consider it one of the best NASCAR sims ever made. It has also laid the foundation for what could later become iRacing. Let's take a closer look at this legendary simulator. Today, we're going to talk about the driving lessons that are found inside of the game. When we look at this, the first thing we're going to see is the basic training. Throughout the basic training, you're going to see the same type of things that YouTubers are making videos about every day.
Welcome to the most realistic racing simulation ever developed for the PC. If you've never played a Papyrus racing sim before, you may be in for a surprise the first time you get out on the track, because in real life, driving a 750 horsepower stock car at the limit isn't easy, and it's not easy to do in the game either. You can't expect to become a master at it overnight. First, you need a solid understanding of the basics, and that's where these driving lessons will help. Before we get down to business, we've got to talk about frame rate. Frame rate is a measure of how many times per second your screen gets redrawn in order to keep pace with the action. To find your frame rate, just press the F key while you're driving. Your frame rate will be shown in the upper right corner of the screen. Ideally, you'll want this value to stay above 30 at all times. When your frame rate dips below 20, the game will start to become choppy, and your controller movements will become delayed, making it much easier to lose control of the car. NASCAR Racing includes a variety of graphic and sound options that will reduce the load on your system and get your frame rate up where it belongs. Going from 32-bit to 16-bit color can give you a large boost in frame rate. Going to a lower resolution, reducing the mirror detail level, reducing the drawing distance, reducing the number of opponent cars displayed, and disabling graphic effects like smoke can also do wonders for your frame rate. Okay, now it's time for some driving tips. The first one is very simple. Don't go too fast. This is a common mistake made by almost everyone. You've got to remember that in this game, you can't just hop in the car, mash the gas pedal to the floor, and have it steer like a slot car. Here, you're sitting on top of a 750 horsepower rear-wheel drive beast that has been modeled to behave as realistically as possible. So remember, just like when you first started driving for real, take it easy out there and pay close attention to how the car reacts to your control inputs. You'll want to start out at a nice wide track with long turns that will force you to let up off the throttle. Try Michigan or California for starters. The second driving tip is not as obvious, but it's important to understand. At high speed, the throttle and brake are used to steer the car. In normal low-speed driving, when the tires have plenty of available grip, the steering wheel controls the steering and the throttle and brake control speed. But what happens when the speed increases to where the tires reach the limit of their grip? At that point, the car's rotation is controlled more by how much weight is on the front and rear wheels, not the steering angle. Braking will cause weight to shift to the front of the car, making it want to turn more. Applying the throttle will cause weight to shift to the rear of the car, making it want to turn less. Here's an example. As the car goes through the corner, we'll keep the steering angle the same, but we'll let up on the throttle. Watch as the car pulls to the inside. This time, we keep the steering angle constant, but we'll add some throttle. This time, the car pushes to the outside. When the tires exceed their grip limit and lose traction, the opposite effects occur. Too much brake will cause the car to plow forward and refuse to turn. Too much throttle will cause the rear of the car to snap around and spin. If you want to master car control, and you have to master car control if you want to win races, you'll need to properly anticipate these effects and compensate for them by using the steering wheel. For these reasons, it's important for you to be smooth with the steering, throttle, and brake. Just as you wouldn't violently jerk the steering wheel back and forth, don't jump on and off the throttle and brake suddenly. Instead, do what the pros call rolling into and out of the throttle and brake. Apply them gradually and come off them gradually. and you'll have fewer unscheduled meetings with the wall. Being smooth will also help you preserve your tires. That means fewer pit stops, and fewer pit stops will help you win races. Here's another tip that will not only help you out on the racetrack, but out on the street as well. As you're driving around the track, concentrate not on where you are, but on where you will be in the next 4 to 5 seconds. When you see the next corner in the distance, visualize steering into it, taking the correct line through it, and coming out of it. You'll be able to set up for the corner earlier, and any corrections you may need to make will be less drastic because you'll be making them earlier rather than at the last second. You'll also have more time to avoid any trouble that may be developing up ahead. Look for the shaded racing groove on the track. That will show you the quickest line through each corner. Visualization is definitely important, but don't rely solely on your eyes out there. Your ears are just as important when it comes to getting the most out of your car. Listen to your car as you go through the corners. Are the tires squealing like crazy? If so, you're going too fast. On the other hand, if they're not squealing at all, you're probably going too slowly. You want to shoot for a little bit of squealing, but remember that too much of it can quickly translate to a set of blistered, useless tires. The last fundamental tip we'll cover here is a simple one. Stay out of the garage. You really shouldn't be tinkering with the car's setup until you're able to turn smooth, consistent laps with the default setups that come with the game. Why? Because until you've developed a proven driving technique, and until you've learned to anticipate how the car will react in any given situation, the best car setup in the world can be useless. The only way you can gain this knowledge is through practice. When you get to the point where you can honestly determine that the car's setup and not your driving technique is what's holding you back from better lap times, that's when you should feel free to go ahead and start tinkering in the garage. Until then, stay out of there. As we wrap up this first lesson, here's something you want to keep in mind. When you get out there and start practicing, you're going to make mistakes. Everybody does. Mistakes are part of the learning process, because if you don't make them, how will you find out where the limits really are? The important thing is to learn from those mistakes and try not to repeat them. So when you mess up, don't worry about it, because unlike real life, the only thing that'll get bruised here is your ego.
Well, that's our look back at NASCAR Racing 2003 season, a classic that helped shape the future of sim racing. Even years later, its impact is still felt by racers around the world, and thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, make sure you hit the like button and subscribe for more racing history and sim content. Let us know in the comments. Did you play NASCAR 2003? What memories do you have? And thanks again, and we'll see you in the next one. Have a great sim week.